And welcome everybody to yet another edition of the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. How is everybody doing on this Monday, July the 6th? Happy 706 day. As if you're from Columbus, it means a lot, especially since we actually had the celebration of 706 day yesterday at Woodruff Park. And it was a great time just to be there. And DJ Cashflow did a great job putting that on. Edwin Jackson was part of their Thrift Behringer was MC, and it was just a great time at Woodruff Park. I hope that you all had a happy 4th of July weekend. It was very special because it was our country's 250th birthday, and I'll get into all that. You know, we had the hot dog eating contest. Joey Chestnut ends up winning that with 66 hot dogs. I figured he was going to win that anyway, his 18th mustard belt. And then you also had the Peachtree Road Race that ran early Saturday morning. And it was just a great time to watch fireworks. I spent time with my family. We went to an RV campsite in Auburn, and then we hightailed it over to Macon to watch the Macon Bacon and had a great time as they were able to get the win over the Florence Flamingos in extra innings. They actually did play a doubleheader, but it was just a great time just to be over there in Macon, trying to represent Middle Georgia Sports Live, as I was actually wearing my Middle Georgia Sports Live polo shirt. So just a shout out to Macon and all the people that are over there, and appreciate that market as well. But there's a lot to get into here in the show, including the upcoming round of 16 matchup between the United States and Belgium, which will take place later tonight. We did receive word that Flo Balogun's red card has been suspended, and that was the talk all week, talking about how egregious that call was, and everybody wanted to chime in. And so I finally have my opinion to talk about how I feel about that. And I'm also going to recap everything that's been going on so far up to this point in the World Cup, as we have the round of 16 going on, and we have several teams that have punched their tickets to the quarterfinals. Also going to talk about the Atlanta Braves getting 5 players to the All-Star game, as that's going to take place in 2 weeks in Philly. And that is going to be a great time there in our city that brotherly love, where the Declaration of Independence was signed. So very fitting, especially with the 250th birthday of our country. NBA free agency, the LeBron watch has been a little quiet, but, you know, I would not be shocked if he made his announcement today, but I think he is going to wait strategically until Belgium-United States match is over. And then later on in the show, and I'm talking later on in the show, back by popular demand, my sports movie review. I've already done Facing the Giants. I've done Kicking and Screaming. I'm going to go a little bit grittier. This is a grittier tale. It's Above the Rim. And you're probably wondering, well, what does Above the Rim have to do with sports? It has everything to do with sports. It's a basketball tournament. And it's an awesome movie and an awesome soundtrack. So, yeah, I'm going to review Above the Rim. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into the big story that everybody is talking about, the red card that was not. It is suspended. The red card that was issued to Flo Balogun in the 60th minute in the round of 32 matchup between the United States and Bosnia-Herzegovina has been suspended by FIFA. At the 11th hour, the FIFA official said, "No, you're not. You are playing in this match against Belgium. Flo Balogun is too valuable of a player to miss this match." I did not agree with the call. He did not intentionally hurt the Bosnian player. As you could see, he was trying to take his foot off, but if you go to VAR, it looks egregious because they were looking at the freeze frame. And so the letter of the law, they said red card. First of all, I hate red cards because it is demoralizing. It's a death sentence, because not only do you miss the entire match that you're currently playing in and your team is a man down, you end up missing the next match, which is the round of 16 match, which our best player, if we don't have him, we could possibly lose to Belgium. That's why I can't stand this rule. I am glad that the FIFA officials came in and said, not so fast. You cannot allow your best player to miss this match. Messi had almost the same play, and he didn't get thrown out of the game. So this is our best player. Flo Balogun has 3 goals so far in the World Cup. He has been just a blessing. I know if you follow United States soccer as much as I have, you know that goal scoring has come at a difficult time. And I actually watched like a YouTube video of all the goals scored in United States soccer history. I mean, Landon Donovan's got 5. You got Clint Dempsey that's got 3. You got Brian McBride, Eric Winalda. We've got some great goals, but we've never had that goal scorer that can compete for the Golden Boot, like a Kylian Mbappe for France, or like an Eric Haaland for Norway, or a Cristiano Ronaldo for Portugal, or Lionel Messi for Argentina. Flo Balogun is that guy, and I'm going to go on a hot take because when the World Cup ends and we go back to Major League Soccer and all the other soccer leagues, I'm pushing and pushing for Major League Soccer to do the right thing and pay Flo Balogun whatever he wants to join the team of his choice in Major League Soccer. And I feel the same way about Christian Pulisic as well. Our biggest soccer superstars need to be playing in this country. I get it. There's more money over in the Premier League, and people who are fans of the Premier League don't want to lose those guys, but we're selfish. We want to have them, and it's great that we have Lionel Messi at Inter Miami, but he's way past the prime of his career. He is about to play in his final World Cup. Same with Cristiano Ronaldo and with Myanmar, who that's a good segue because I'm going to talk about the round of 16 matches. As Myanmar said, this is my final World Cup. Brazil, shocking loss to Norway. I mean, I'm not really all that shocked. I think Norway can win it all. Well, Eric Haaland has been fantastic. He scored in the 79th minute and then the 90th minute. And then all of a sudden, Myanmar, actually, what a way to get sent off. Myanmar does score a goal in his final World Cup matchup. But Brazil has overachieved for the past 25 years. They won that World Cup in 2002. And then they had that disappointing 7-1 loss against Germany in 2014. They've lost to France. They've lost to Croatia, the Netherlands, Belgium. And what's disheartening is this is the first time that Brazil has lost in the round of 16 since 1990. It's been that long. They lose in the quarterfinals. But you lose in the round of 16, you had to come back against Japan in the round of 32. I think that Brazil has been overrated for the past 25 years. They remind me of the Dallas Cowboys of international soccer because they're a big brand. They've won 5 World Cups. Everybody talks about how great Brazil is and how many great soccer players like Pele and Ronaldo and Myanmar and now Vinicius Jr. They have all these great soccer players, but they don't have anything to show for it. They did win the World Cup in 2002. Don't get me wrong. They've won 2 World Cups in my lifetime, in 94 and in 2002. Before that, it was 3 World Cups back when Pele was playing. So I get it. But Brazil has constantly been overrated, and Norway was the better team. Norway advances to the quarterfinals where they will take on England because England had an incredible match against Mexico in hostile environment in Mexico City. And by far, this has been the best match so far of the World Cup. I sat and watched it all the way to the end. England was playing with their backs against the wall. They ended up having a red card in the 54th minute. So they were playing a man down for practically half of the match. And Mexico ended up getting a penalty to get it to 1. But it was Harry Kane that got a penalty kick in the 60th minute. Jude Bellingham had the 2 fastest goals. I can't believe I was looking at the scoreboard, and it was already 2-0. I blinked, and it was 2-0. They did get that goal, Jude Bellingham, but then 2 minutes later, Jude Bellingham scores another goal, and then Mexico does get a goal to make it 2-1. I thought that Jordan Pickford had probably the save of the tournament. It looked like Mexico was going to take the lead in the first half, and Jordan Pickford reached his hand out and dove and blocked the shot, and he had other incredible saves as well. England survives, But they're going to be without Jarrell Kwanzaa because he got a red card and he is going to be suspended for that match against Scotland. But I think Harry Kane is fantastic. He can compete for the Golden Boot. Jude Bellingham is fantastic. I really think that England can get to the semifinals and possibly the World Cup final because although I like Norway, it's a toss-up who I think could win in that quarterfinal matchup. Let's preview the rest of the World Cup because we do have a huge round of 16 matchup. That's going to be later today, 3 o'clock. Portugal and Spain. You've got the older guy, Cristiano Ronaldo, who's 41 years old. Then you got the 18-year-old for Spain, Lamine Yamal. And Spain looks like they are the favorite, but I could see Portugal sending off Cristiano Ronaldo in a proper fashion. But I really think that Spain could get by Portugal, and they will await the winner of the United States and Belgium, which will be later tonight. So on Tuesday in Atlanta, we've got Argentina and Egypt. Noon kickoff at Atlanta Stadium, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, whatever you want to call it. So Lionel Messi comes back to the Southeast. And this is another way, if you are a soccer fan in this area, to go see Lionel Messi for the last time as a member of the Argentine national team. I don't think he's done with soccer. I think he's still going to be playing in the MLS. You might end up seeing Lionel Messi back at Atlanta Stadium. They'll recall it Mercedes-Benz Stadium when Inter Miami takes on Atlanta United. And then a very underrated round of 16 matchup, Switzerland and Colombia. Don't sleep on Colombia. They look fantastic. And I think it's going to be Colombia and Argentina in the quarters. But we do have our first quarterfinal matchup on Thursday, July the 9th. So they get a day off on the 8th to regroup, reset everybody. France taking on Morocco. France is the team to beat because not only do they have Kylian Mbappe, but they have other great players like an Ousmane Dembélé. And also you've got great players like Michael Olise. I mean, France has players that rival what Kylian Mbappe can do. They actually have 3 or 4 players that strike fear in most lineups, and they're taking on the darlings once again, Morocco. You know that they were at one time ranked 82nd in the FIFA rankings. So they caught the world by storm 4 years ago when they became the first African team to make it to the semifinals. Morocco's back in the quarterfinals after beating Canada 3-0. So France, Morocco on Thursday, and that is going to be at New England Stadium, Gillette Stadium, whatever you want to call it. Friday, July the 10th, we're going to have another quarterfinal matchup, and that looks like it's going to be the Argentina matchup taking on – no, I think that's going to be the United States winner of USA, Belgium, France, Portugal. And then Argentina is going to take on Colombia Saturday night. And then the semifinals Tuesday and Wednesday, including a semifinal matchup in Atlanta. If I were to guess, I think that semifinal matchup is going to be Argentina and England. So I'm going to go ahead and pick my bracket. I do think that the United States does get by Belgium. But I think that their historic run in the World Cup is going to come to a close because I think they lose to Spain. I think France easily gets by Morocco. So it's going to be France and Spain, England and Argentina. And now I did say France and Argentina in the World Cup final. I think it's going to be France and England. Man, that's going to be an incredible World Cup final. It's not a knock on Argentina. I think Argentina is more than capable. But Cabo Verde gave all they could handle. I just think this English team is a team of destiny. I think they've got the players like Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham and Jordan Pickford as Pickford. I've got that name right, as the keeper. They look fantastic. All right, let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and take a break. And when we come back, I'm going to talk Major League Baseball. We've got some all-star selections. Going to break down those all-star selections, including the Atlanta Braves having 5 representatives that are going to be in Philly. You don't want to go anywhere. It's a Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. Back after this. And we are back here on the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. Make sure that you follow us on the socials. I'm on Facebook, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Instagram, TikTok, and I believe that's it. Also, you can listen to a replay of the show on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcasts. Let's talk Major League Baseball All-Star Game. That's going to take place July the 14th in Philadelphia. And congratulations to the 5 representatives for the Atlanta Braves that have been named to the All-Star Game. Ozzie Albies, his 4th All-Star appearance. You've got Drake Baldwin making his 1st All-Star appearance, so congratulations to him. Raisel Iglesias, a closer, making his 1st All-Star appearance. Chris Sale, his 10th All-Star appearance. And then you also have Matt Olson making it as a reserve, his 4th All-Star appearance. There could be some players like Michael Harris II or Bryce Elder that could be added if there's like an injury. But looking at your first-time All-Stars, we're going to start with the starters in the National League as Andy Pagas from the Dodgers makes his 1st appearance. Brandon Marsh, outfielder for the Phillies, makes his 1st. And the outfield consists also of Juan Soto for the Mets, his 5th appearance. The DH is Shohei Ohtani making his 6th appearance. We have Freddie Freeman making his 10th All-Star appearance. Max Muncy, remember he had a position change. He went from first base to third base. Well, he makes the All-Star team as a third baseman, his 3rd All-Star appearance. C.J. Abrams, a shortstop for the Nationals, his 2nd appearance. And then let's take a look at the starters, the pitchers for the National League. Chase Burns from the Cincinnati Reds making his 1st All-Star appearance. Johan Duran from the Phillies, his 1st appearance. We talked about Raisel Iglesias. Max Meyer from the Marlins, 1st appearance. Mason Miller from the Padres, 2nd appearance. Jacob Mizorowski from the Brewers, his 2nd appearance. Eduardo Rodriguez making his 1st appearance. And then Christopher Sanchez from the Phillies, Paul Skeens from the Pirates, Logan Webb from the San Francisco Giants, and Yunisho Bito Yamamoto from the Los Angeles Dodgers. And remember, had a fantastic World Series. But let's take a look at the reserves for the National League. William Contreras from the Milwaukee Brewers and Hunter Goodman from the Colorado Rockies. And from the National League, Luis Arraez, 4th All-Star appearance, 1st with the San Francisco Giants. Bryce Harper, considered the legend pick, his 9th All-Star appearance. Otto Lopez. We got Sal Stewart and Matt Olson. And let's take a look at the starters for your American League. We got a first-timer from the Tampa Bay Rays, Brian Baker. Dylan Cease, also a first-timer. Those are pitchers for the American League. Aroldis Chapman has been with the Boston Red Sox, his 9th appearance. Jacob Latz, Parker Messick. So Jacob Latz from the Rangers, Parker Messick from the Guardians. Drew Rasmussen from the Rays, his 2nd appearance. Joe Ryan, 2nd appearance for the Twins. Cam Schindler from the Yankees, his 1st appearance. Cade Smith from the Guardians, his 1st appearance. Luis Varland, 1st appearance for the Blue Jays. Ranger Suarez, 2nd appearance, 1st with the Red Sox. Remember, the longtime Phillies pitcher. And then Michael Wacha, who played for the Cardinals. Now he's playing for the Kansas City Royals. But let's take a look at that. The starters for your American League. 1st appearance for the from the Athletics. Shea Langeliers the soon-to-be Vegas Athletics. I'm going to call them the Sacramento Athletics in just a second. Vlad Guerrero, 6th appearance for the Toronto Blue Jays. Ernie Clement, 1st appearance, playing second base. Junior Camarero from the Rays. Bobby Witt Jr., 3rd appearance for the Royals. Mike Trout, more all-star appearances than anybody in this game so far. 12 all-star appearances. Byron Buxton, very talented outfielder for the Minnesota Twins. Aaron Judge, 8th appearance. And then from the Houston Astros, Jordan Alvarez. It seems like he's been with the Astros forever. I don't know how many World Series he's won with them, but it's going to be a pretty good lineup of pitchers and starters for the American League. I'm surprised they just name all of them all at once. But the reserves for the American League, Dylan Dingler, Adley Reichman from the Baltimore Orioles. So we got Dingler from the Tigers. And we've got from the American League, Travis Bazana from the Cleveland Guardians. First-time selection. Nick Kurtz, remember he won Rookie of the Year. So we got the Rookies of the Year both making the All-Star game for the very first time. Nick Kurtz won the Rookie of the Year last year for the Athletics. Kevin McGongle from the Detroit Tigers, first appearance. Ben Rice from the New York Yankees, first appearance, and then Miguel Vargas from the White Sox, the surprising White Sox, who are in first place in the AL Central, making his first appearance. And then for the National League reserves, I forgot, I skipped over the National League reserves because Pete Crow or Armstrong making the All-Star game. And then Corbin Carroll for the Arizona Diamondbacks, Jordan Walker from the St. Louis Cardinals, and then James Wood from the Washington Nationals. Yandy Diaz, the designated here, making it for the American League, and then Kyle Schwarber making it for the Philadelphia Phillies. Yeah, so I missed a few that made the All-Star team, and the top teams that have the most representatives, the Braves with 5, the Dodgers with 5, and the Phillies have 5. And no American League team has more than 4. So that is interesting. That I like how they spread it out. You don't have a team that's got like 8 or 9 all-stars in that, and every single team has at least one representative. So I like that as well. Okay, let's go ahead and talk a little NBA free agency because there we go. All right. The LeBron watch. I don't know where he's going. He could make his decision today, possibly Philly, possibly Cleveland, possibly Miami. Who knows? We do know that Jaylen Brown got traded to the Philadelphia 76ers. What are the Boston Celtics doing? You're putting him in the division? I know you didn't want to keep him, and he was trade bait because you were trying to get Giannis, but now all of a sudden, Jaylen Brown is going within the division, and the Sixers got better. Paul George is a much older player. And I don't care about draft picks. I don't care that the Boston Celtics got all of their first-round draft picks. If the Sixers end up winning a title, those are going to be late first-round draft picks anyway. So not a fan of the move. I'm a fan of the move for the Sixers. They got a steal in that trade. So that's probably going to be what's going on. Kawhi Leonard obviously going to the Raptors. You know, we've got LeBron eyeing the Heat, Cavs, and Sixers. The Lakers trading DeAndre Ayton to the Wizards for Jaden Hardy and 2 second-round picks. Not a whole lot on the front. The Knicks do sign Andre Drummond, but I can't believe he's still in the league. He is definitely way past his prime. This is going to be a very interesting free agent offseason because even though summer league games are going on right now, NBA free agency has not stopped yet because we still have some people that could be moved around. And I think that LeBron could make his decision. I'm going to guess that LeBron's going to make his decision after the United States-Belgium soccer matchup because I would not take away the spotlight of the United States men's national team. That's just my opinion. I don't think that that's a good idea for LeBron to do that. So I think he makes his announcement sometime this week, but after the matchup. And I tell you what, I'm excited about the NBA season. I'm excited about these draft picks, but I do want to talk about how the state of the NBA, 8 champions in the last 8 years. So you talk about the Knicks having like the 4th best odds, the Spurs, the Thunder, and the Celtics. Well, actually, not. I think the Celtics probably have they got worse after trading away Jaylen Brown. But I want to see teams like the Atlanta Hawks or the Orlando Magic or the Memphis Grizzlies, the Minnesota Timberwolves. I want to see if you have 8 different champions in the last 8 years, why not them? Why can't a Sacramento Kings win a championship even though they should have won it in 2002? But some of these NBA teams are not far off. So what I want to do, I want to talk about being, a number 1 overall pick and how big of a game changer is the number 1 overall pick. And I'm going to go all the way back. I'm just going to give like a grade all the way back to, I'm going to say 90. We're going to go all the way back to 1990. The overall number 1 draft picks in the NBA. We know that the Washington Wizards got A.J. Dibonza. Last time that the Washington Wizards drafted number 1, Kwame Brown in 2001. And we know how that turned out. Cooper Flagg, he won Rookie of the Year. I think that he is a cornerstone for what the Dallas Mavericks are trying to do. 2025, he now has a new coach in Dusty May. I think that Cooper Flagg is going to be a perennial all-star, multiple all-star, superstar, hoping that Dibonza can be that superstar. Then we go to 2024 when the Hawks drafted Zachary Riza-Shea. I'm not going to say he's a bust just yet, but Riza-Shea needs more playing time to develop. It's just hard to get in a rotation with guys when you have like Jalen Johnson and you have Onyeka Okongwu, and now they re-signed Jock Landale. So the jury's still out on Zachary Riza-Shea. Obviously, we know exactly what Victor Wembanyama did. 2023 selected number 1 overall against the luckiest team in the NBA, the San Antonio Spurs. But Wemby got the Spurs to the finals with the help of guys like Stephon Castle and Dylan Harper, which were top 5 lottery picks. The Magic, they've got their franchise player in Paolo Banchero, but also I think that he needs a running mate like a Franz Wagner for the Orlando Magic to be successful. He kind of reminds me of Glenn Robinson in the 90s. He'll put up big-time numbers, but is he making the highlight film on a nightly basis? And then 2021, Detroit getting their franchise player, Cade Cunningham. I tell you, the number 1 overall pick, with the exception of Zachary Riza-Shea, each team could say that it's been an A so far. Cade Cunningham is going to be a multiple all-star player for the number 1 overall seed. Same with Minnesota in 2020 when they got the Ant-Man, another all-star. 2019 when the Pelicans drafted Zion Williamson, a big what if. He has been a great player, a 20-10 guy, but injuries has derailed his career. Phoenix drafting DeAndre Ayton, number 1 in 2018, was a complete insult to guys like Luka, who was drafted number 3 to the Hawks. And also Trae Young was in that draft, but Marvin Bagley III also in that draft. DeAndre Ayton now on the Wizards. So the Wizards going to have 2 number 1 overall players. Markelle Fultz was a complete bust for the Sixers in 2017. And same with Ben Simmons. 2016, Ben Simmons out of the league. Not sure if he's ever going to play. Hey, 2015, Karl Anthony Towns finally gets his ring with the New York Knicks. Andrew Wiggins, 2014, the Cavaliers. Remember, the Cleveland Cavaliers shipped him off to Minnesota for Kevin Love. And Andrew Wiggins now currently is on the Miami Heat. Here's our first big-time bust in the last 25 years going through the draft. Anthony Bennett, the forward for he played at UNLV, averaged 4.4 points a game, only played in 151 games. Absolute bust in 2013 for the Cleveland Cavaliers. The New Orleans Hornets in 2012 got Anthony Davis. I think that worked out pretty good. The Lakers got a championship with him. Kyrie Irving going to the Cavaliers in 2011. Another great pickup. Little injury prone, but if he comes back healthy, you got Kyrie and Cooper Flagg. They're going to be definitely working their thing. John Wall in 2010, a great stat guy. Same with Blake Griffin in 2009, a good stat guy. Haven't won anything. Derrick Rose, he did win an MVP, but didn't really win anything, and he was also injury prone. Still a great player. Greg Oden, a big what if. Kevin Durant was in this draft. Greg Oden in 2007, the Portland Trailblazers. Toronto drafting Andrea Bargnani. I know that's a very obscure pick, but he had a decent NBA career. Same with Andrew Bogut. Ended up winning a championship with the Golden State Warriors in 2015, drafted by the Bucks in 2005. Orlando getting Dwight Howard in 2004 worked out very well for the Orlando Magic. And then he's also bounced around. He even played with the Atlanta Hawks coming home for one season. I don't even need to mention the Cavs drafting LeBron James in 2003. We all know what he has done. Yao Ming in 2002. Injury prone, still an NBA Hall of Famer. Kwame Brown, a bust. Kenyon Martin, good player. That draft just didn't have a lot of superstars. Elton Brand, fantastic GM, but drafted number 1 by the Chicago Bulls. Remember, the Bulls were rebuilding with Tim Floyd right after The Last Dance, and Elton Brand was part of that rebuild. Clippers getting Michael Olowokandi. I rooted for this guy. He came out of the University of Pacific from Stockton. He just didn't pan out. Yeah, he was a decent player, when he came to the Minnesota Timberwolves in 2004 when they got all the way to the Western Conference Finals. And then San Antonio, Tim Duncan, probably a top 5 player of all time. Allen Iverson, probably the greatest small player of all time. That's not a knock on Steph Curry. I just think that Allen Iverson was a playmaker. He was only like 6'1". He was just incredible. The Warriors drafting Joe Smith in 95. Decent player, had a long NBA career, but, number 1 overall pick. And then Glenn Robinson, which is the second time I've mentioned Glenn Robinson on this show, overall number 1 pick in 1994 by the Milwaukee Bucks. I even got a Glenn Robinson jersey. The Orlando Magic drafting Chris Webber, then trading him to the Golden State Warriors for Anthony Hardaway and 3 future first-round draft picks. I remember as a kid watching this. This was the trade of the night. The Orlando Magic were the luckiest team. They even had a 30 for 30 called This Magic Moment. And Chris Webber played for the Golden State Warriors, and then Orlando ended up getting Penny. It worked out pretty good. They got to the finals with Shaq and Penny. Orlando getting Shaq in 92. The big question is, did Shaq make more money with the Lakers compared to Orlando? Well, everybody knows he made his money in college. I'm kidding. That was just a basketball joke. All right, the Charlotte Hornets getting one of my favorite players. I had a poster of this guy as a kid, and I loved the Charlotte Hornets in the 90s. Grandmama Larry Johnson from UNLV. And then finally, in 1990, DC, Derek Coleman, another favorite player from the University of Syracuse, drafted by the New Jersey Nets. Boy, that was fun. Just going through all the first-round picks of the NBA all the way back to 1990. And, yeah, I could have went further back, but, a lot of you who are watching my show, listening to my show, weren't even born before 1990. So let's take a break. And when we come back, it is time, the moment you've all been waiting for, my sports movie review. You don't want to go anywhere. It's a Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. Back after this. And we are back here on the show. It's been a lot of fun. Talked a little World Cup, talked about the All-Star game, and also talked NBA free agency. And I just went back down memory lane and talked about all the number 1 overall draft picks. And you could tell as a kid, I loved basketball. growing up in junior high and high school. Never made my high school team, never made my junior high team for that matter, but I loved the game. And that's why this sports movie review that's coming up, I wanted to pick a movie that meant a lot to me because it was one of those movies that I watched over and over again as a kid. And yes, it is a basketball movie. I am reviewing the movie Above the Rim. Look, Above the Rim came out in 1994. It starred Tupac Shakur, Dwayne Martin, Leon from Cool Runnings, Marlon Wayans. It was a good lineup of great actors. So the movie opens with Shep, played by Leon. He's with his best friend Nutso, and they are playing basketball on top of their building in Harlem. So they had a basketball court that was on top of their skyscraper apartment. And apparently he dares him to jump, and Nutso breaks the backboard and falls off the building and dies. I mean, it's tragic. I just ruined the first part of the movie, but Shep is dealing with demons. He comes back as a security guard for a local high school team, and they have a talented basketball player who's being scouted by Georgetown named Kyle Watson, played by Dwayne Martin. And Kyle's coach, trying to motivate him, but, he's a hothead. He's like, well, that scout wouldn't be there if it wasn't for me. And he was reading off his stat line, but they lost the game. His childhood friend, Bugaloo, who is played by Marlon Wayans, he tries to, recruit him for the basketball tournament, which is later on in the movie. And by the way, one of the most iconic scenes in a sports movie, probably the greatest play of all time. And you've seen it go viral when 52 passes the number 52. It's incredible. I've shared it on my social media. But there's a local gangster by the name of Birdie, played by Tupac Shakur. And, he introduces Kyle to that lavish lifestyle. So Kyle is torn between trying to be loyal to his coach. He's also got a single mother who works a lot, and so she misses a lot of games. But there's also that relationship with Shep, who's dating his mom. And so he's tied up with that. And then, he finally gives in. He says he's going to play in the basketball tournament. First of all, they put a lot of emphasis on this basketball tournament that at the same time that high school basketball season is going on. Did the season end? Are they in the tournament? What is this? And also, who's doing security? Who brings a gun to a tournament? Look, I know it was 1994. I know times which, oh man, I could go on about this movie. The reason why I want to do this movie because I love the soundtrack. Regulators, Nate Dogg with Warren G, Sweet Sable, Old Time Sake, SWV Anything, Part-Time Lover, H-Town. This soundtrack is the greatest soundtrack of all time, hands down. It was my sophomore year in high school, 1994, where I put this in the cassette deck. You got bonus tracks on the soundtrack as well. Long story short, Shep, he challenges Kyle Watson to a basketball game. He beats him. He's trying to teach him some humility. There was a homeless guy named Flip who is played by Bernie Mac, who, he's telling Shep, hey, they can't take away what we were. He was like his former teammate. And then Kyle realizes that Tupac's character, Birdie, is a bad guy. And then he decides at the last minute, I'm playing for my coach. He tells Birdie, thanks, but no thanks. Here's all the stuff that you gave me. I'm playing for my coach. And then Birdie says, hold up. You playing for me. Even though he's not playing for him, he's threatening him to throw the game. And, things don't work out. He gets shot or attempts to get shot. But Shep actually dives in front of him. It's a happy inning. Shep and his mother are dating. And their coach watches him at Georgetown. He makes a winning shot as a freshman. It's a feel-good story, but it's also one of those gritty movies where, it is about basketball. But the life lessons that you get from a movie like this is that Kyle Watson is just got a hot head. He's cocky. He's got a temper. And Shep is just trying to, build him some humility. And, his coach is a very underrated part of this movie. I'm trying to see. Yeah. David Bailey is the actor who played his coach, a young Marlon Wayans before the Wayans brothers. So there are some pretty cool people in here. John Thompson's in it. He has a cameo. But I really think the soundtrack is the highlight of this movie. I really do. But yeah, that's the sports movie review. Don't forget on Wednesday that I am going to reveal what I'm going to do for Monday's show for the sports movie review. That is all the show that I have for you. Thank you, everybody, for watching the show. Don't forget to like us on Facebook, subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can also find us on Instagram, on the X. I'm also on TikTok. And that is going to put this show in the books for Monday night. And enjoy the soccer match, which is going to be coming up in a couple hours. The United States and Belgium. I will come back on Wednesday's show. I'm going to recap that soccer match, and I might even have a guest. So have a great rest of your night, everybody, and we will see you next time.
Thank you for watching The Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. You can catch new episodes on Facebook and YouTube every Monday and Wednesday night at 5 p.m. The Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge is a local podcast that covers sports in Columbus, Georgia.